I made a mistake. And so, for my mistake, it's time to make a very sincere, heartfelt, deep apology to absolutely no one. Because I put Sentinels at the top of my tier list, and I had Sentinels winning this tournament, so you can call me a Sen hater all you want, but the truth of the matter is, I probably had more faith in Sentinels than any of you did. And so with that out of the way, let's take a look at the grand final and how Sentinels managed to beat Gen.G. We're going to take a look at Split. And in particular, what we're going to take a look at is how the two games between the upper final, where Gen.G destroyed Sentinel on Split, how it was so different to then the grand final, where Sentinels were able to win. And when it came to that first game, I thought Willminder summed it up pretty well of some of the things that went wrong for Sentinels, particularly on their defensive side. Was reviewing the Split game from today, and I feel a good bit of it came down to the retakes, which is a big success factor for Sentinels on the map. Going into playoffs, they had a 61% retake win rate on Split this year. This is like double the average historic numbers. A big part of this was how they retook space. 72% of their retakes were either even or they had a man advantage. They're not scared to play full 5v5 retake. Gen.G in that game planted the spike 7 times, a normal amount, but Sen lost all 7 of those retakes. Gen.G did not let them have an easy space when they were retaking. And so let's start off then looking at round number 5 from the first game, where we're going to see that Gen.G, this is kind of a good example, I think, what Gen.G's overall game plan was, right? They were very aggressive in the post plan, as we'll see, but they also like to deny some information here, like Munchkin sneaking in here towards B main, and he's going to go and destroy the Cypher camp, right? So it just makes Sentinels, they don't quite know exactly what's going on. And he's even going to try and destroy the trip here in a second. He doesn't quite manage it, but clearly they're playing for some denial of information. Whilst that's going on, we're going to get the dog coming out here in towards mid, and spotting there could be some pressure in mid. And then whilst all of this is going on, we're going to get now just 3 players walking up in onto the A site, and they're going to catch Sassy completely unawares.
Trap abuse going on. They're not taking the bullets.
Look at Meteor though. He's just about to walk in. Sassy might be caught unaware.
So they get the kill on Sassy, but now that they've created some pressure towards B as well, the rotates aren't that fast, right? So for Tens and Zelsis here in heaven, they can't really try to do too much other than just hold on to the space that they've got to try and make this a bit easier. But look at where Meteor is already, right? He's already pushed very deep into CT just here. So again, this is going to be extra space that Sentinels now have to retake, right? Once he's going to show his hand here, and once they get the spike down, I mean, Zekken is still on the other side of the map when the spike is going down. So that's a lot of time that they're just going to have to wait for one of their players to rotate through the entirety of the map whilst Gen.G are already here. And you'll see it here in a second as well, that we're going to go for a deep Omen flash on these 2 players towards CT once they start making some noise here, as you see. So that takes them even longer then. And now obviously they know that Meteor is in this space. This is now going to take them even longer to come and retake this space, right? So this is going to cause a big problem for Sentinels. And what you'll see from now on is Sentinels still do have a really good retake. Even in a 4v5, even in this scenario where they have to take even more space, their retake, as you'll see, is still very good. But the thing is, it takes them so much time to clear everything out and to rotate Zekken all the way across the map that they just don't have time to win the round.
It's heard, but luckily, those players are able to round the corner just in time. Nade, not really going to force Meteor back, but he falls back anyways, concedes the space. They're going to commit utility to trying to clear that back out, at least in his mind, but the paranoia is kept in the back pocket, now burned up to go towards elbow. Here comes the blast pack from Zekken. He's towards the side, picking up Karen, and Zelsis had opened up the rest, leaving Meteor alone, doing so much damage. It looks like Munchkin was able to catch an angle, and with the snake bite landed, that's buying a little bit more time. Tens has to run for the hills now. There's no time left with another found. Gen.G.
But now take a look at this round from the game yesterday in the grand final, where as soon as Sentinels figure out that this is going to be a B hit, they are running for the hills to make sure that Gen.G can't push deep anywhere and can't take any more space than what Sentinels want to allow them to.
You're right, we're feeling like you can't count Gen.G out. I mean, this team made a name for themselves as well, just in qualifying for this event by winning so many of these rounds where they weren't expected to. Shouldn't be as much danger, but you never know. Ollie's flying overhead here. Quickly into the approach here. There's a paranoia, and there's Pillars close to it. Players getting beamed down and ran down. Showstopper rocket out wide with Zelsis falling. Gen.QT left scrambling, trying to pick up these pieces. Pit collected and corralled now. It's only up to him in a 1v1 second. Maintains that composure.
So even though the site hold doesn't actually go that well for them, I mean, just looking at the map in this one gives you a very clear indication. Look at how fast Sentinels are to this when they do figure out, with the flash here, they figure out like, okay, there's some people in B, they don't move just yet, Zekken just creeps across just a little bit, but of course, they don't know if that's just one player just yet. But then when the exec starts to come in with the flash, the paranoia and all of that, once that starts to come in, now we see, Celsius is straight away running across. Look at John, he's already sprinting across as well. And so, as I said, even though, this doesn't go that well for them here, and, 2 people die to the stinger just here of texture, by the time that, this kind of all settles down, all of Sentinels are here, right? We're already all here. And again, even though we go 1-for-1 with the Razor here with Zelsis, and then the pick comes in as well, and John's even sprinting through that, right? It's just no stop. We are already there, right? These two that were on the A side of the map are there way before the spike has even, been tapped here, essentially, for Gen.G. So they're very, very fast. John QT running through a snakebite there into a Viper's pit, doesn't care, goes 1-for-1, and then Zekken is able to clutch it out. So clearly, Sentinels were just very, very, aware of Gen.G, not letting them get into kind of a stable position, and just basically just sprinting at them to make sure that as soon as they figured out what was going on, they were going to be there to deal with it. And one thing that Gen.G did somewhat consistently, and we kind of even saw this in the very first round we saw as well, was creating presence on one side of the map to hold Sentinels, and then very much just everyone rotate across the other side of the map, and we just go to the other side instead, right? And that's kind of what they do here as well, as you'll see, is after Sentinels kind of go for a bit of B main aggression themselves. This is kind of a classic Sentinels thing. We aggress, we kind of leave. That's something that Sentinels like to do. So Gen.G just actually just silently re-clear this and don't kind of show their hand. Kind of again a nice idea by Gen.G here to do that. Eventually TenZ will see some presence here, right? He will see Lakia swing with the outlaw just there and take a shot. So they understand that some presence is in towards B. But now that they've seen that aggression as well, Gen.G, Meteor feels like, okay, it's probably the Cypher and maybe Zelsis here, right? If we're getting aggression on the other side towards B main earlier on. So he feels a bit more free potentially to kind of try this luck and get up in towards A ramp here, which is a nice idea. But then the call comes from Gen.G as well to just send it back over towards A. But this is the thing. At this point, they don't quite know exactly what's going on, and you see that 3 of Sentinel players are held here over towards B, whilst the A exec is about to come in. So again, when Gen.G come on towards this site, we've only got these 2 players defending it, and John does a pretty good job, but, it ends up getting the spike down here. But Sentinels, again, are very, very far away from where they need to be.
Viper. It's never easy to get past this util, but they're beginning to predict it, and now they have to try and clear the players.
A good trap by John QT, a little closer, 12 seconds left, and there's still some harassment on the site. John QT drops the spike, 8 seconds left, but players up in heaven, surely not able to deny, no nade, nothing to clear them from position, and the fight's going towards Gen.G. Oh, Zekken, full HP, but 1 hit to that outlaw. TenZ, 1 hit to damn near anything. Zekken closes the distance, but a shot to the head from Texture pretty much seals the fate of this one, with TenZ having 2 players to drop and Munchkin way ahead.
And again, when we did end up in that post plant just here, you can see that what we end up with is, again, Gen.G fighting very aggressively in towards heaven, not letting Sentinels rest once the spike actually goes down and contesting this space, right? Munchkin ends up winning this fight, and then initially he thinks about retreating, but then he sees someone and it's like, well, no, back we go, right? And we fight them again. And so we just make it so that Sentinels have to come this way, right? They aren't given any space. They're forced to do this right now in a 2v3, and as we see, it doesn't go too well for them. And so towards the end of the half of the second game, Sentinels started to counter this kind of play by basically just disrespecting Gen.G, as we'll see in this one, because eventually what's going to happen here is they again start to see some noise, right, with the dog in towards mid just here. They've given up B main, and eventually these two don't see anything on A and are kind of confident. And when TenZ gets the kill on Munchkin here as well, they then start to dog out A, and now they just don't give them any respect, right? And as soon as we get to this point in the map and where the map is now, right now Gen.G can't go for any of their little tricks of like, oh, we're just gonna completely flip the map and come back towards A. Once they figured out that, Meteor isn't here for this time, but even if Meteor was here, right, the idea of just, sending a dog at him whilst he's alone, because again, Gen.G, one thing that it was often doing is normally they would start B and end A, kind of as we've seen from the clips earlier on. It wasn't often start A, end B. Instead, it was often, go B to A kind of stuff. So even if he is alone, as long as you push him back and, take some of this space, they're not going to be able to do the kind of let's just flip the map and run towards A kind of stuff. You're going to force them into doing something else. And so once the map looks like this, Sentinels are obviously in a very good position to win the round because they know where Gen.G have to go.
Exekin knows if he gets one more kill, he's got a showstopper earned and available for him to just try and get out of the dodge. Everybody grouped up.
The trip will give him the timing here to potentially make the play.
There it is, flash through. TP pass, broken. Backs to the wall, backs to him entirely. No way! The movement, the twists and turns. Looking like ballerinas out in mid.
Zekin goes from high to low, but Sassy's here, potentially as the safety net to clean it all up.
Might be your time to strike, son. Step up to the line and really reward the rest of your team. As two topple and fall texture soon after, and the movement, wide swing, wide face.
And then in the very next round, the exact same thing happened, this time with even less respect, because this time it's just Sassy on his own. This time, again, he's like, okay, he just sends the dog. Again, he doesn't see Meteor, who's normally the one defaulting towards A here whatsoever. And so, again, he's brave, right? Normally, you would say, like, a solo Skye pushing out, even if the dog hasn't seen anyone, right? This could just be suicide. You could just be throwing the map. But again, it's a very good read by Sentinels. And again, once you're in this position, now we've got 4 players on the map. So even if, they did do a B exec, and even if Tens did die here or whatever, we're still in a good spot because everyone's so close. And you look at where Sassy ends up here. He actually ends up too deep almost because there's a possibility that they might sneak past him here. So he has to actually go back. But this level of information just means that Sentinels can basically do whatever they want because they're just in such a good position. And now they definitely will be here in time for when Gen.G do this exit.
Trip's waiting for him. The nade should clear at least one layer of it. Smoke's now up with the paranoia through, and it's a call made to flood right back into it. The rocket damage done, but already texture right behind. Snaps back second. Shuts down the adversary, shuts down the nemesis. But does he anticipate this? Yes, he does. Movement sublime.
And so this was a really nice adaptation from Sentinels of realizing that Gen.G, they might have, people on either sides of the map at points, but they don't like to go for like big cross the map looks or anything like that. So you can kind of at a certain point be confident of where they are going if you can time it right. And then from there, you can fast flood and get those, good retakes or pre-takes, even as we saw, because Sentinels are so fast to what they're trying to do.